It's an honor to be here. When I think of all the places I could be, this is probably the place I'd most like to be right now in my profession and in my work. Multi-user GIS, I'm going to talk about multi-user because I think it's important to understand who we're trying to reproduce or replicate something for. And it's the people that are important. The debate about whether it's reproducibility or replicability, I'd like to suggest, and I kind of favor the ACM 2016 definition. I'm going to go out on a limb there, but I'd like to suggest there's a broader concept we could think about, and that is provenance, and I'll talk just briefly about that today. You can see here an image of drone, and I work a lot with the folks at Oak Ridge on drone operations and the ability to collect a large amount of data and process it. Our new sensor that we're getting this week will capture about 10 gigabytes per minute, so that's not going to make it viable to use a cloud-based service because of that volume, at least not until you can upload that much data. Provenance, this painting you can see here is the most valuable piece of American art that I'm aware of. Purchased in 2005 by the Walton family, and it's stored in Northwest Arkansas, where I'm from, a multi-billion-dollar museum there. That's kind of a side note. The point is, provenance is an age-old concept that's used in art. If you don't have it, you're not able to sell the artwork for a high value. And I think that's something to consider. Some people think of the concept of provenance, who owned it, who worked on the artwork. Other people think of a record. And I think if we can consider a record of the processes, the ownership, the influences that were made on an output, that could help us understand what to enable replicability, reproducibility. I worked with David Lanter, who is, got an early, if not the first GIS patent. I know we don't patent our software very much. You have to have a lot of code to make it worth your while. He used the term lineage, and the computer systems literature often cites David Lanter as an early work. The Granite Mountain Records Vault has lineage, genealogy, if you will, and we're actually, people in this room, we're probably related to each other and we don't know it. 9th, 10th cousins, whatever. If we could use the concept of lineage and provenance, we should be able to better compare the work we're doing, do more things than just replicate, but also compare workflows. And I'm going to talk about one brief project recently completed. You have to give it a name, so I call it GW, moniker for gigawatt, and to give it some emphasis that this is a big deal, I think, for my students and in my research lab. The ability to have multiple users connected to a database, a so-called provenance store, and we're all running the exact same toolbox, and multiple members of the team are editing that toolbox. And for this particular trial run, we're using the model builder in ArcGIS. So in this case, the owner of the toolbox here, user 2, created the toolbox, but people in the field can immediately run it once it's ready, and the administrator can also has the ability to edit that toolbox. And to give you an idea what that looks like, and I only have 4 slides. I'm not trying to brag here, but I just have 4 slides. I thought that's what we were supposed to do. This is ArcGIS desktop on the left. This is a workflow, and you could say I created it. And I am able to share that workflow with somebody else. This is not a native capability. It's utilizing the enterprise geodatabase, and it's utilizing just a few hundred lines of Python code to enable this. And I'd like to do a demo if we ever had time, but the one on the right there is ArcGIS Pro, and I'm actually able to run that same workflow and have multiple people run it in Pro versus desktop. And so there's some replicability over time And that, I think, is an exciting thing for my team. I have over 100 people using it right now, but it's not yet published it's in a manuscript format. And I look forward to sharing that just idea that you can take existing software, tweak it a little bit, and turn that into a multi-user workflow environment. So, thank you.